So what is the stealth mode means? Like they didn't reveal any facts about Snowflake to the outside world. So they just like release this product as just like in a stealth mode. That means like the competitors not aware of this product, and they make it generally available in 2015. That means like it hits in the market in 2015, and last year it went to the public, and in 2020, and it was listed as a Gartner leader. So since 2 years, and apart from AWS Redshift and Azure Synapse and Google BigQuery, and these are the four market leaders in the data warehousing side from the cloud. And the Snowflake is going to be the first data warehouse that was purely built for the cloud. That means like it's purely on the cloud. You don't need to install on the on-prem, so they don't have any software on it, and that means like you have to spin up the instance, and that will be in the cloud. And it is available at first, like it was Amazon Web Services, then later on like that included support for Microsoft Azure, and recently they introduced a GCP too. And it's very faster and easier to use and more flexible than traditional data warehouse. So in the traditional data warehouse, so what you have to do is like so you need to install the software, and you need to buy the expensive hardware, and you need to bring in the resources to work on it. So this is like Snowflake is purely on the data warehouse for the cloud. That means like one click you can spin up your account, and you can start using it. So that means like you don't need to wait on like the expensive hardwares to come and install the product and before it to use. And it combines the architecture called SMP and MPP architectures, and it takes full advantage of the cloud. So this is all about like a Snowflake introduction. So let's see like who are the competitors for a Snowflake. So there are three competitors for Snowflake at this moment. So Amazon Redshift. So that's also a similar product to of a Snowflake. And the next one is going to be the Azure Synapse. And formally it is called as Azure Data Warehouse. And the next one is going to be the Google BigQuery. Let's look at the architecture of Snowflake. So it's very simple architecture to see. So it's a three-layered architecture. So one is going to be the storage layer, and the next one is going to be the compute layer, and next one is going to be the service layer. So in the storage layer, so where like you store all of your data of the Snowflake. That means like similar to the Oracle, right? Like you install the Oracle on the system, and it stores all of your table data and the materialized views and everything. So right, likewise, so we have a storage. So this means like it has like it's going to be like one database and the database and another database. Like we have like a 5 database at this moment. So this is going to be the storage layer. All of the data will be stored in the storage layer. So it can be on AWS S3. It can be on Google Cloud Storage, and it's going to be on a blob storage, Azure blob storage. So these are the three providers at this moment. So these are serving for the storage layer. And the next one is going to be the compute layer. So compute layer, like don't confuse with the virtual warehouses. This is a little different than data warehouses. So virtual warehouses means it's nothing but like a machines behind the scenes. Okay, so when you fire a query, so it needs some compute power, right? So the virtual warehouses acts as like a compute layer. That means like when you fire a query, you need to select the warehouse. So it acts as a system, and it fetches the query to it. And the next one is going to be the service layer. So this is going to be the heart of the Snowflake. That means like your authentication and authorization, everything is taking place. That means like once you log into the Snowflake account, so it has to pass through the services layer, and it needs to authenticate it. And when you fetch the query, it looks for the optimizer, and it looks for the information management to find out the information of the micro partitions, and it fights the query using the compute layer. So it's pretty simple. Like whenever someone asks you in the questions like what is the architecture of Snowflake, it's pretty simple. It's a three-layered architecture. So one is going to be the storage layer, where you store all of your data, and the second one is going to be the compute layer. So all it has like a virtual machines behind the scenes, so to fire the query and to do some kind of operations. And the services layer, this is going to be the heart of the system, so where like it takes the authentication, information management, and query optimizer, and transaction management, and security. Security comes with a RAVAC, so that means role-based access control. So that comes in the security piece. And we'll see like in detail, like what is going to be in a database layer and compute layer and services layer. So as I mentioned before, so it is going to be a three-layered architecture. So first one is going to be the database layer or the storage layer. So if you look at that, like the first point is Snowflake stores the data in internal compressed columnar format. So the beauty of
நானா
Snowflake.
இப்பதான் ஒரு மீட்டிங் போயிட்டு இருந்துச்சு, அதுக்கப்புறம் ஒர்க் தான் as usual. உனக்கு இல்லையே, என்னாச்சு?
Can you someone
அப்படியா?
mute your?
உனக்கு வந்துருச்சா? சூப்பர், கங்க்ரா.
All right. Snowflake stores the data in internal compressed format. So that means like so it is a columnar database. So everything is stored as a columnar format. So that means like it has like the minimal storage thing. Okay, that means like everything is stored as a columnar format. So it's going to be like a very fast for the retrieving. And now like nowadays like a lot of companies are taking the advantage of the columnar format. So Power BI, Tableau, and some other tools also. And the next one is going to be Snowflake manages all aspect of the data is stored. So that means like so you don't need to worry about that. All you need is like a hit enter the command. So insert command. So all it does is like a Snowflake takes care of so how to organize the files. So and how to store the metadata of it and the statistics of it. You don't need to worry about that. And the next one is going to be the customers doesn't have the direct access to the file storage. That means like so if you want to see the micro partitions, you will not see it because like Snowflake guys has a tight security to it, so you will not see like what is in the micro partitions. So if you want to access the data, so all is like you need to access with the SQL commands. And the next one is going to be the, as I mentioned, like the cloud storage can be AWS S3, Azure Blob Storage, or a GCP Cloud Storage. So that means like when you spin up the instance or when you spin up like a Snowflake account, so that means like you need to choose which the cloud service provider you want. Okay, the data to be stored and the virtual machines you want to spin up. So that means like either like it gives an option. So whether to choose AWS S3 or GCP or Microsoft Azure. So the best practice is like, let's suppose if your organization has a AWS already in place. So I would suggest to go and spin up the instance in the AWS and choose your own region. Okay, so that I will show you as a part of the course, like how to set up the account. And let's suppose if you are using Azure in your organizations, it is better to spin up your Snowflake account with Azure. And similar wise, like if you have like a GCP in your organization, so it's better to choose a GCP as your Snowflake um, um, service. So the next one is going to be the, as I mentioned, like the compute or the query layer, right? It's all about machines. Okay, so likewise, right, like you install like Oracle on expensive hardware, right? So to process the data, when you query it, like it goes and fetches the data and using the RAM of the machine or the CPU that was installed. So similar wise, like a compute layer and query processing layer is nothing but like all about like a virtual machines. Okay, let's suppose so they have like a different sizes, X small, small, medium, large, X large, something. So if it's going to be small, so there's going to be like a one machine, so that is spins up behind the scenes. So if it's going to be the X large, like 16 machines, something like that. Okay, so we'll see like just give us a minute. Sorry guys. And as I mentioned, like the computer query processing layer, right? It's all about virtual machines. So that means like if you look at that, like our architecture, so each virtual machines can be of different size. So it can be a small, so it can be X large, so it can be large, or it can be a medium. So that means like if it's going to be a small, right? So that means like it spins up like one virtual machine behind the scenes. If it's going to be the X large, it can be 16, okay, large and a medium, so it can be 8. Okay, so likewise, like you can spin up the instance based on the query which you have it. So you choose the instance of the virtual warehouse and you fetch the query. So we'll see in that in action. So just keep in mind, so it's all about like a virtual warehouse is nothing but like the VM machines behind the scenes. And Snowflake, the process the queries using the virtual warehouse, as you mentioned. So you need to choose your virtual warehouse. So when you are running the queries, and based on the virtual warehouse, like the CPU and the RAM of the machine, so behind the scenes, so it processes the queries. And it uses like MPP compute cluster. So that means like so when you fetch the query, like you need to choose your instances size. That means like all of the machines like behind the scenes, it processes the queries and it fetches the records and it processes that and sends it to the services layer. And each virtual machine is independent compute cluster that doesn't share the resources with other VMs. So that means like let's suppose if you are taking a say large machines behind the scenes, it uses like 16 virtual machines, and each 16 virtual machines which acts as on the secure the query. Okay, that means like so when you fetch a query, so it takes like all the 16 machines and it processes parallelly and it fetches all the records. Nothing of the information, that means like the RAM, the storage results will be stored in the RAM of the virtual machine itself. 16 virtual machines will process differently and it will not be shared. So that is going to be the compute layer, and the next one is going to be the services layer. So services layer will have like a so authentication, infrastructure management, metadata management, query parsing and optimization, and access control. So this will we will see like so all of these one like as a part of the course. So we'll have like so 3 to 4 hours on database and storage layer. So how you connect to the AWS S3 and how you connect to the Azure Top Storage and how you connect to the GCP using a secure mechanism. Okay, and so how we can process the data and how we can load the data. So nowadays, like everyone is moving to the cloud, right? So they want to migrate from Oracle to the Snowflake, or a SQL Server to Snowflake, or a Teradata to Snowflake. So how they can load the data that is migrated from Oracle to Snowflake, like we'll discuss in the storage layer and database layer. And as a part of the queries, okay, so I will show you like how you can spin up different instances and the optimization of the instances. So we can see in the compute layer, so that's going to be another class of like 3 to 4 hours, and the service layer like as a part of the administration. So this will be discussing in the service layer. And then this is going to be the flow of the Snowflake architecture. So that means like let's suppose as a user, if you want to fire a query, okay, or you want to fetch the data from the view, or it can be a table. So first thing is like so they will give you an URL. So that means like you can log in from the graphical user interface, that is a web browser, or you can do with a Snowflake SQL also, Snow SQL. So that is going to be the command line interface. Let's suppose I take out the scenario. So we are firing the query from the web user interface. Okay, that means like so you will see a URL and you will log in with your authentication mechanism. That means like they will share you like a user ID and a password. So first thing is like so you go to the web browser and you will pass on your credentials. So that means like the first layer is going to be a services layer, and it looks for your authentication. So that means like let's suppose if you have like your user ID and password is correct, so it will authenticate that and you will be entering into the system. So that is going to be the one, and the next one is going to be the authorization. So which databases you have the access, or like which schemas you have the access, which views you have the access, or which tables you have the access will be determined based on your authorization. So this will be determined using the roles. Okay, so everything will be role based control. So that means like you will have like a analyst role, so or admin role, something like that. So based on your authorization, so you will see like all of the different objects in the Snowflake. So in our scenario, so we are firing a SQL query. So that means like I am writing like a select star from employees. That means like a next step is going to be you need to choose your warehouse. So that means like whether you want to go with a small warehouse, or you want to go with the X large warehouse, or you want to go with a large warehouse, something like that. Okay. So you can choose like based on your load of the system, okay, and moreover like so how much data that is there in the table or the view. And the next one is going to be like once it is selected, once you fire the query, so it goes to the storage layer. Okay, so that means like all of your data is stored in the micro partitions. So it goes and fetches the data. So based on the information management, so there is going to be the metadata management. So it goes and fetches the record based on the management, and it brings back to the virtual warehouse. So this is going to be RAM of the machine. So it processes all of the data and fires back to the web user interface. Okay, so this is going to be the flow of the Snowflake architecture. So let's suppose we take different scenarios. So Snowflake is going to be a product, software as a service, and you pay like a when you use it. Okay, that means like let's suppose so if I have like a table of 100 records, so if I am not firing any queries, so that means like all I will pay for the storage cost. Okay, so the next thing is like if you are firing a query, so you will pay for the storage cost as well as the compute resources. So that is going to be pay as you go. So let's take up the scenario. So if you look at that, like we have a different scenarios in place. So we have a database. So let's suppose you want to create a databases, schemas or tables or any other objects in a Snowflake. So that means like it takes 30 minutes to finish up your task. So you need to pay for the 30 minutes of the compute. Okay, that means like you're not paying for the storage. So all you're doing is like creating of the databases, creating of the schemas, tables, or any other objects. So that means like we are not using any kind of like a storage in it, right? So that's why like you are paying for 30 minutes of the compute. Next one. So the next one is going to be like so once we created the table, so I loaded a few records into the table. So if you want to load the data for 1 hour, okay, so you need to pay for the compute cost. That means like a loading the data, right? So it needs some kind of resources. So you pay for the compute cost as well as the storage cost. So that 100 records needs to be loaded into the system, right? So the storage layer. So you pay for the 100 rows of the storage cost as well as like you load it for 1 hour, right? So that means like you use compute layer for 1 hour. So you need to pay for 100 record storage cost as well as the 1 hour compute layer. And the next one is going to be you have like expensive queries, right? So sometimes like you are running like a query like which is having a million records or billion records. So let's suppose if it is processed 3 to 4 hours a day, so then you need to pay for the 3 to 4 hours of cost as well as the storage cost. So that means like it needs to be fetch it needs to store like the 1 billion records into the storage, right? So you need to pay for the storage cost, and you are filing the queries 3 to 4 hours a day. So you need to pay for the 3 to 4 hours. Got it? So this is all about like a Snowflake architecture. So in a high level, so first it is going to be authentication. Next you need to choose your warehouse, and then like you need to file the query. So that means like it fetches the records based on the metadata management, and it brings back the data to the compute layer. So compute layer will process your query, and it brings back to the web UI. Okay, this is all about like a Snowflake architecture flow. And the next one is going to be how you can determine your warehouses, right? As I mentioned, like you need to choose your warehouses. So this is going to be the X small, and we have a small. That means like if it's going to be X small warehouse, so that means like we have like only one virtual machine behind the scenes. So if it is going to be the small, so that means like it has like two virtual machines. And the next one is going to be the medium. So we do have like a 4 instances behind the scenes. And if it's going to be large, so it's going to be 8 instances. And if I select X large, this is going to be the 16 instances. And 2X large is going to be 32. And 3X large is going to be 64. And 4X large is equal to 128. So this is going to be the most expensive one. Okay, that means like so when you choose like a 4X large machine, so that means like behind the scenes, it spins up 128 virtual machines. That means like 138 so computers behind the scenes. Okay, and based on the size of the warehouse, so the credit hours, if you look at that, so XMall is going to be the one credit hour, and based on your Snowflake account type also. So we do have like a Snowflake standard, business and business critical, and enterprise edition. Based on the editions also, like these credits will change. Okay, we'll discuss as a part of the course when it comes to the virtual machines, like what is going to be the cost. So when you fight a query with the different instances, I will show you the calculator and how much you cost. Okay, this gives you like a advantage like when you go to the interviews or when you go to the any kind of job role, so right, so you will determine like what is going to be the one. So this is going to be the default warehouse, right? When you spin up the instances, by default, it will create a warehouse, which is going to be extra small. We'll see that. So in this part of the demo, I will show you like how to create the virtual warehouse from the web UI. So usually like I will not prefer like web UI. So I do have like a SQL script behind the scenes. So I'll like spin up the instance like using like command line interface or like using a PowerShell. Okay. All right, so that means like let's suppose so you have like just a DML statements. That means like you are inserting the data, or like you are deleting the data, or you are updating data. So it's just like a few records, right? So why I need to go with a 128 X large machines, right? So it doesn't make any sense. Like even though like if you doesn't use it, okay, you need to pay for the cost of this one, right? So for the DML operations, all I choose is like a small instance. So that means like I will spin up like I will have like a three instances, okay, three virtual warehouse, one for the small, and I will create like one virtual machine for the medium and one for the X large. Okay. So for the updating, I will just use like a DML and the small instance. That means like it spins up like just two machines behind the scenes. Okay. And the next one is going to be, let's suppose I'm loading a little uh, uh, more storage. That means like I'm processing like some million records or a billion records. Then I will choose like with the medium instance. Okay. So let's suppose if you are running a batch queries, right? Let's suppose overnight like you will get the files from different systems. So if you are like in a big large enterprise, like you can get it from the system called ERP, or it can be like Oracle, or it can be like from PeopleSoft, or it can be from a mainframe. Okay, right? So all it needs to be processing the data, right? Let's suppose if I get the data at 2 o'clock, so I need to process it at 3 o'clock. By 3 o'clock, I need to process the data, because like our systems will run a batch reports at 3 o'clock. That means like it has to be processed within this 1 hour. So then in that case, like I will choose like a X large machine. Okay, that means like it uses like a heavy lift, and it processes all the data and make it available by 3 o'clock. Okay, so this depends on the scenarios. Like I will show you like when to use what, okay, as part of the course. Okay, and if let's suppose say if I'm running a query, so that is going to be X small for now, like this is going to be small. So if it is taking a long time to fetch the records, so while executing the query, I can change it to the medium also. That means like so once it is X small, so this will be a medium. And once you choose the medium, right, like as the part of the query in the middle of that, so you will pay for the small as well as the medium. So there was like a different kind of billing available. So as a part of the course, like we'll see like how the billing affects. Okay, as the part of the course, right, if it is going to be small, if you change it to medium, so how it affects your billing. So this is going to be really important. So when you are doing with a Snowflake, so virtual warehouses. And the next one is going to be like so what are going to be the advantages of the Snowflake? So there was a lot of advantages, right? Like all we compare with the different products. So there was like a lot of advantages with the Snowflake. So first thing is like storage and compute are different. Okay. So by default, if you load like a 10 records, so if it's sitting idle, all you need is like a pay for the storage cost for the 10 records. Okay, so if you're using like this query, like let's suppose if I'm firing a select statement, or I'm updating this 10 records, so all I need is like a virtual machine, right? So in other sense, it is called as virtual warehouses. So when you're using this update statements or insert statements, so you will pay for the virtual machines also. That means like the storage cost will be different, as well as so these virtual machine calls are different. Okay, that means like a pay as you go. So that means like if you use it, you pay. That's it. And the next one is going to be the Snowflake as a software as a service offering. Okay, otherwise I call as a data warehouse as a service. So that means like a zero maintenance. So you don't need to worry about like so buying the expensive hardware, installations, upgradations, and administrations. So all these will be maintained by Snowflake, guys. Okay, that means like at the backups and restoration and everything like will be done by Snowflake. So all is like there is a minimal work for the restoration and these things. So but you don't need to worry about that. Like it's just like a few commands to run. So I will as a part of the course I will share with you guys. So it just like needs to change that commands and execute in your organization. So these things like a software installations, upgradations, and everything like will be maintained by Snowflake, guys. You don't need to worry about that. Okay. So someone mentioned that like a Snowflake also like AWS. Yes. So it's close to that, right? And the next one is going to be the time travel. So this is going to be the nice feature in Snowflake. Okay, so it's going to be very best one. Okay, so the thing is like, let's suppose if you have a table, so with 10 records. Okay, so and I entered like 11th record. So that means like if I want to see like what is going to be in before like the inserting of these statements, so you can travel back up to 90 days. Okay, so that means like, let's suppose if I want to like, this is going to be 2 by 25, and I inserted the record, and what is going to be in a 2 by 24 2021. Okay, I can go back and then I can see this record. Okay, and I can clone it back. Okay, and I will bring this back to the 2 by 25 also, so using like a create statements. And the next one is going to be the zero cloning. So what is going to be the cloning? So in the traditional warehouses, right, so we do have like a database, so which is going to be a development database, and we do have like a the QA, and we do have the production, right? So in the traditional organizations, what we do is like if you want to refresh the QA, right, what we do is like we'll take the backup and we'll bring into the QA, right? So we'll test the records, and some of the records will be moved to the dev. So zero cloning, right, that means like you need to take the backups and you need to rerun the scripts, and everything like will be loaded into the system, right? So into the QA and development. So in the Snowflake, it's very like easy. So all you need is like a clone, using a clone command. So within a fraction of minutes or a fraction of hours, like so you just like clone the data. Okay, so if you have like a that means like it won't take like much time, like it probably like it is going to be like 1 minute or 2 minutes to clone your databases. Okay, and the next part is going to be the data sharing. This is going to be really important. Okay, let's suppose say if you have your database, Snowflake database, and you can share your data with other Snowflake accounts also. Okay, let's suppose say I am a customer, and next one is going to be I have another account with a B. Okay, let's suppose this is going to be the company A and company B. So let's suppose if you process your data, okay, and all this data you want to share with a B. Okay, so it's just like a one click away. So it is going to be your data will be shared with a B. Okay, and there are two types of accounts. One is going to be the full account, and another one is going to be a reader account. Okay, so the reader account means, so when you create a reader account, so all of the virtual machines compute power will be billed by A account. That means like, let's suppose if it's A account, if I create a reader account, so in the A, so that means like all of the compute resources will be billed by A. Okay, so if it is full account, so everything will be the virtual machines. That means like if they fire a query on your database, so that means like they will pay for the compute cost, but the storage cost you have to pay. So we'll see like this one so more extensively as a part of the course. And the next one is going to be the undrop command. So what is undrop? So always like, right, so there might be like a human errors, so we can drop the databases, we can drop the schemas, we can drop the tables, we can drop the views. So using just like one click, so undrop command, so you can bring it back. So you don't need to bring the let's suppose like in the traditional warehouses, so what we do is like we take the external yesterday's backup and we'll store it, right? So in the Snowflake, you don't need to do that. So all you need is like undrop command. So just like if I drop a database using a drop db1, and I can click on undrop, and we can bring it back. So within undrop. Okay, and the next one is going to be the scalable. So it's going to be scalable all the time. That means like so you can scale out and scale in the system. And the next one is going to be, let's suppose I take out the scenario. Okay, so this is going to be your table. Let's suppose I'm going to load this table into the Snowflake. So how it process the data behind the scenes. Okay, so all you need is like so let's suppose this is going to be a table, right? So we are going to load. First is like it breaks into like a different chunks. Okay, so this is going to be one chunk and this is going to be another chunk. Like look at 1, 2, and 3. The first step is like a Snowflake breaks the table into multiple table partitions. These partition can be from 50 MB to 500 MB. Okay, and in the size of uncompressed data and immutable. Okay, so that means like let's suppose so if you load a data, so based on your table size, so it will makes the partitions from 50 MB to 500 MB of size. So this is going to be the one of the question will be asked as a Snow Pro certification. So based on like these things. And the next one is going to be it organization. As I mentioned before, right? So in the database layer, it organizes as the columnar database. So if you look at that, like we have the micro partition 1, micro partition 2, and micro partition 3, and everything will be organized as a columnar database. Order ID, order date, ship mode, and customer ID, and so on, so on. And we do have like the same thing in here. Okay, it will organize and so process the data like this. Okay, so Snowflake reorganize the data in each partition to be columnar. So columns are used to store together as a bucket. Okay, so it considers like this one as a bucket, and this one as a bucket. Okay, each like a partition within the micro partition will be a bucket. So Hari, like there is no prerequisite to learn a Snowflake. So this is going to be a fairly new technology. So it's very easy. Okay, so there is no prerequisite. All you need is like just like follow what I'm teaching. And the next one is going to be how the data is stored, right? So in the third step, okay, so the data will be compressed. So we have like a 550 to 500 MB, right? So all this will be stored as the compressed format. Okay, so first thing is like it will compress this format. And the next one is going to be, if you look at that, like we have the row 1 to 15, row 16 to 31, and row 32 to 33. So next one is going to be it compress this data. Okay, and the next one is going to be how like a Snowflake will identify this one. Yes, so we covered like a Snowpipe also. Yep. So Snowpipe using AWS S3 and Snowpipe using GCP and Snowpipe using Azure. Okay, so there was certain techniques we used to follow that. All right, the final step is going to be like it will create the header. So what is in header information, right? So if you look at that, like all of the data will be stored in the metadata will be stored in the information management, right? So here in this one, like we do have like a metadata management. So all of the partition information will be stored in the metadata management. Okay, so that is the service. So it has like offset value, okay, length of each column, okay, and some max and min and certain statistics will be used to process the data. So let's suppose say, so if you find like a select star from employees table, so what it does is, so it goes and checks the metadata of the partitions. Okay, so which tables which partitions belongs to the table of the employee. Okay, and so it passes the information to the virtual machines to process the data. That means like virtual machines has to do virtual machines has to know, right, like which one to process, which partition to process. So first thing is like when you fire the query, so it goes to the metadata management, and if there is any queries that was run before like select star, so within 24 hours, so it goes and checks the optimizer. Okay, if there is no query file, so what it processes, like it goes and gives the query to the virtual machines, and virtual machines will hit the partitions and brings back the data. So those kind of information will be stored in the services layer. Okay, so in a nutshell, so we'll see all of this one. So this is going to be the low level diagram. So if you look at that, like all of the partitions will be stored in the storage layer. So that means like if you fires the query, so it goes in here, it authenticates that, and it goes to information management, then optimizer if there is any queries. So if there is no query that was run in 24 hours, it brings back, and the information the service layer will pass the information to any one of the virtual warehouses which we select, and it goes back and fetches the records from the storage layer and brings back and send it to the services layer. So that is all about that. So let's suppose say if you are firing a query, so select customer ID sales from sales and state of Pennsylvania. So if you look at that, like it goes and checks the optimizer, right? Like optimizer has the mechanism to check the header information. Okay, so it goes and checks like where is Pennsylvania. Okay, so all of the information will be stored in the header and is stored in the metadata management, right? So it goes and checks Pennsylvania. So it goes and hits this partition and eliminating this partition 1 and partition 2. That means like it goes and hits the partition. That's why it is a faster. And the next one is going to be this a columnar database. So it ignores this one, this one, this one, and it always goes like we want a customer ID, right? It goes and fetches this one, this bucket, and a state and a sales for this bucket. So any questions, please do let me know. So speak up. So this needs to be an interactive session. So I always encourage to ask too many questions.
Mahesh, thank you for your, Mahesh here. Ashok, thank you for your demo. Actually, I just wanted to know, like, we have Mind Tackle University, Snowflake University, right?
Right.
So, apart from this, what are the things you are covering apart from that?
So this is going to be really okay. So mind tickle and everything, right? It's just like a you'll get like a information on Snowflake. Okay, this is going to be a real time. Okay, how to process the data and how to store the data. Okay, so what is going to be the cost and everything. Okay, so Snowpipe and so when you're loading from AWS S3, right? So there's different mechanisms. Okay, so you need to create the roles to it. Okay, I'll show like how we can create the roles in the AWS and how we can create the external object and how we can load the data and all of those. Okay, so it's going to be like more of like a yeah, Shiva, like it's going to be like a developer as well as the admin course. Okay, so once you're done with this course, so you'll have like at least like a 2 years of experience in Snowflake. Okay, so mind tickle is just like it gives the information. This is all about like a real time. So and moreover like a the first class is going to be a PowerPoint, and as we go on to the course, so it's going to be the real time. Okay, so there will be no PowerPoint presentations. All it is like going to be like I will show you like so if you click on this one, what needs to be done. So I will show you like in action. Okay, you don't need to worry about that. Okay, so in a minute. So any questions other than that? Please speak up.
Yeah, so regarding the certifications, Ashok, so
Yes.
Snowpro certifications, right? So how after this course, so are you will I able to finish this certifications,
Yes,
or you can
definitely
provide
yes.
some?
Definitely yes. So as a part of the course, right? Like is it Dev? So as a the part of
Yeah,
the course, okay. So okay, what I will do is like so I will teach the course like this, Dev. So first thing is going to be the real time scenarios. So you need to go to the job, okay, and you need to perform the duties. So first I will show you like each and every topic will be the real time, and the next one is going to be like you need to face the interviews, right? So the next one is going to be like if I am dealing with the storage, so I will ask you like so what are going to be the interview questions, okay, that will be encountered during the process. And the next one is going to be certification. Not all the guys will look for the certification, but like I will give the guidance. Okay, so if this is going to be a storage layer, so what are the questions you can expect in the Snowflake Pro certification? So that means like you will cover like three things. Okay, so one is going to be the real time, next one is going to be the intro process, and the next one is going to be the certification. Make sense? So any questions?
So, Ashok, suppose I have attended the training and I am planning to take certification, and suppose I didn't clear. So, may I get chance to re-attend that session?
Yes, sir. So as a part of certifications, so you want to attend one more time, or what is it? So you
Yeah,
want to?
suppose I didn't clear that certification exam. I want to attend. I want to attend after one more try. So, will you allow us to attend up one more time, please?
Yes, definitely yes, Mahesh. So okay, so you need to talk to Arun on it. Okay, definitely yes. Okay, if I am a trainer, I will definitely allow you to do that. Okay, so any questions before jumping into the demo? So please speak up, guys. I want my training session to be interactive. So we do
yeah,
have
we
like
can.
one questions. Let me read that questions. So and Prakash, there is no prerequisite. Okay, so all you need is like a just follow like what I'm teaching. So that is good enough like to learn like a Snowflake in and out. And the next one is going to be Snowpipe. Yes, like I will show you like so how you can connect to the data from S3, okay, Azure and GCP. So three things will be covered. You don't need to worry about that. So that means like so if you have like a organization, right, it can be GCP, it can be AWS S3, it can be like Azure, right? So I will cover three of those. So that means like you will get proficient with all of those storage providers. Okay.
Yeah,
And
so
yes,
Tushar here.
yes,
So,
Tushar.
will you show how to integrate with different, how
Yes.
to configure with different ETL tool or reporting tool?
Yes, I will show that, Tushar. So at the end of the course, so I will show you like how you can connect to the Tableau, and we can run a few dashboards, and I will show you like how to connect to the Power BI. We'll create like a few dashboards on top of it, and the ETL tools. Okay, I will show like how you can connect with the Python. Okay, so you can fetch the data and you can store it. And there was a connectors. I will share the documentation with you. Okay, and so that answers your question, Tushar.
Yeah, that will be helpful.
Yeah, so I'll show you like we create like few dashboards. Real time. Okay, yes, so this is going to be the real time, right? So this is not like a sample data or something. Okay, so this is going to be the real time sessions. Okay, each session will have like a different data sets that I use in my organization, so that will be shared. Okay, so that means like so from data migration to loading to the Snowflake and then processing it, and how we can deliver the dashboards is the things. Okay, end to end. So that means like from you can, your first thing is like you learn about the storage layer. Next one is going to be the compute. Next one is going to be the services, and the next one is going to be the additional parts like a Python integration, and as well as like a reporting tools integration. So you'll get like end to end. So any question, guys? Like before I move to the Snowflake demo. So the real time. All right. So I'm switching the screen. So just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. So are you able to see my screen, guys?
Yeah, yes, Ashok.
All right. So the next thing is like we'll see like a demo, right? So this is going to be the interface of the Snowflake. Okay. So this is going to be the web UI. Okay. So but like you can connect with us the command line interface also. But like in this part of the demo, so I'm showing you the demo in the web UI. So first thing is like if you look at that, this is going to be the URL. Okay. So this is going to be the unique for your account for sure. Okay. And the next one is going to be, this is going to be the your account ID. So LP3516768, right? 76. This is going to be my account ID. Okay. And the next one is going to be like I hosted this one on the Canada. Okay. Canada Central. So this is going to be the my region in the Canada. Okay. That means like Azure. And if you look at that, like this is going to be the Azure. So if it's going to be GCP, it's going to be different. Okay. So this is going to be the same, but like this part will be different. Okay, so it can be AWS East region, or it can be GCP, something like that. Okay, and the next one is going to be, this is going to be the normal. And once you log in, right? So this is going to be login, right? I am login with admin. By default, you will have like a system admin. So everyone who logs in, right? So we'll have like a system admin by default. So until unless like you have an explicit role. And if you look at that, like we have like a different roles. So we call like an account admin. So this is going to be the different role I have it. So public, security, and user admin. Okay, these are the three roles we have it. By default, like any user, if you are not assigned, you will have the public role. Okay, you can switch at any point of time. And the next one is going to be, we have the databases. Okay, so these are like a different databases which we have. And the next one is going to be the shares. Okay, I don't have the shares at this moment, but like you have like a shares. So I will show you like a different one. So if you look at that, like this is going to be the US East region. So we have like a YK 72893, and this is going to be the US East region. So that means like a US East, and this is going to be the AWS. Okay, I will log in with this account. I will show it to you. So this is going to be a trial account. And if you look at that, like we have like a different warehouses. So these are like a different warehouses we have it. Okay, and if you look at that, like when I click on share, so I don't have any shares at this moment. And so if you look at that, like when I go with the so admin role, so I can click on account admin. So if you look at that, like this is going to be a S3 demo. Okay, so this is going to be a share. Okay, account usage and simple data, sample data, and the next one is going to be the outbound share. Okay, so I didn't share anything out it. And if you go to the account, so I mentioned like about the reader accounts, right? So when I click on reader accounts, all of the reader accounts will be in here. Okay, and if you want to set any policies, you can set it here. And if you click on this one, roles, so we have like a different roles to it. Okay, so we have the account admin role, we have the analyst role, data analyst, and this is going to be the real-time roles. Okay, data analyst role, and who can see what. Okay, who can be authorized and what we can see it. Okay, right, yes, Vivek, like you can opt for a architect role, an analyst and user admin. Okay, and let's go in here, so to the Azure. So this is going to be the account, so I'm going with the account admin. And by default, like you will have like account usage. So this is going to be the by default for every account. So this is maintained by Snowflake guys. The reason why is like they need to calculate your billing and the storage cost and everything. And the sample data, you will get a sample data. So when you click on outbound, if you look at that, I do have like a full account. So this I will show it to you. Okay, so how like you can give access. Okay, when you click on this one, add users, so they will have like a reader and full account. And I'll show you to like how we can add users to the full account and how we can share the data. Okay, and the next one is going to be the test share. So this is going to be the reader account. Okay, so and if you click on account type, and as a part of the course, like I'll show it to you. So how we can calculate the billing and how we can calculate the usage and who are the users in it. So I created like a different users as a part of the last course. So we look at that, like we have different users. So based on the logins, like I will show you like a different authorizations and authentication. And the next one is going to be the roles. So as I mentioned before, right? So we'll create like a Snowflake is all about role-based access control. Okay, we create like a different roles. So who is going to be the business user, who is going to be the developer, who is going to be the business user all, and who is going to be the public users, and who is going to be the system admin and user admins and so on. So you can create like a different roles and you can assign the users. If you click on this one, so this is going to be the one. And when I click on user all, so this is going to be the one. So you don't need to worry about that. So I will show you like how you can do with the command line interface. Okay, so now like you can create it from here. So but the best practice, right, in the real-time scenarios, we always use like command line interface. So Raj asked me a question like, what are the companies Snowflake? Okay, most of the companies who is using Redshift, okay, Snowflake is eating this share. Okay, 75% of the companies in the United States, they're migrating to the Snowflake from Redshift. And the next one is going to be the sessions. So if you have like any sessions, it will list out here. So these are different sessions which I logged in. And we have like a resource monitors. So how you can monitor your resources, that's going to be the one. So we'll discuss that one. And the reader accounts, so you can have like up to 25 reader accounts. So at this moment, but like for the trial accounts, they will have like only one account. Okay, so that means like they will have like their own URL. They can go in and log into the system. Okay, all right, so let's look at like a databases. So we have like a databases, we can create it from here. So click on create. So I can give you the name of the database. Let's suppose a Ashok_test and click on finish. That's it. So it's just like one click away. Okay, and if you want to clone the database, okay, so let's suppose if I have a database 2, I want to clone it. It's just like a one click. So name of the database is going to be, let's suppose a Ashok clone. And which source. Okay, so I want to clone this database, right? Let's suppose Ashok test is going to be the production. So you can choose the source. Okay, so there was like a lot of sources that are available. Let's suppose my test DB is going to be my production. I want to clone this one. So click on finish. So this is going to be like one click away. Okay, so now like you have a clone, right? So if you want to drop, like you can drop, you can transfer the ownership, but don't worry about that. Like we'll discuss more elaborately, so as a part of the course. And we have like a data marketplace. So this is going to be the new feature, right? As I mentioned before, like the data can be shared between different accounts. Okay, so this is going to be the marketplace. This is going to be the new one. and they have a Snow dashboards also. So we'll discuss as a part of the course. Okay, how you can create the dashboards in it and how you can get the data from different systems. Okay, let's suppose say you have a marketing data that is processed by some other company. Okay, they will place places here. Okay, so these are like a different companies. So let's suppose if we click on financial, I can get the data. Okay, if you look at the day when there is a personalized, that means like we need to pay for that organization to get the data. Okay, so we'll see this one, and we have the dashboards. Okay, so we can create the dashboards in here, and we can create like the worksheets in here also. Okay, so as a part of the course, this is going to be the one. And let's suppose I click on worksheet site. So this is where like you can run your queries. Okay, so let's suppose I want to bring in the data from the contractors. So I can click on new sheet and select star from contractors. Okay, and here's the one like I mentioned, right? Like we have like account admin, right? So you need to switch the role, so which way you want it. And here's the one like where you need to choose your warehouse. So this is what I'm talking about. So based on this warehouse, right, if I click on X large, so that means like 16 machines will use to process this query. Okay, so you need to choose your warehouse. By default it will be in the suspend stage. As soon as like you run this one, so it will automatically will be enabled. Okay, let's suppose I'm going with the compute, so which is going to be X small. Let us see like which database it is in. So it is in my test DB and public schema. So you need to choose like if you look at that, I am in like a Ashok clone. So if you look at that, like you can set this one as a context also. So I can choose it from here. So I can choose like my database, right? My test DB2, and this is going to be the public. Okay, so when I run this one, and it passes the query in here. Okay, so if you look at that, like now the compute, right? So the suspended is gone, it's resumed. Okay, and if you look at that, like we have the clone, right? I just clone the data. So if you click on clone, so when I click on public, so if you look at that, like the contractors, whatever it is there in my test DB, it's already there. I can process it from here itself. Okay, I can run the same query. So using clone and public and click on run. So now I can run the data. So IAM role is different, Raj. Okay, this roles is different. So the roles in Snowflake is just for authentication purposes and authorization purposes. Okay, so IAM role, right? You have like a, let's suppose if I have like S3, right? You need to create a policies for them, like how to use it. Okay, so here is going to be the different one. So I will explain like what is going to be the AWS roles and what is in Snowflake roles. So if you look at that, like how to process the data, so this is how like you need to work on the project. So there is going to be the control DB. So I don't want like this is going to be the external stage. So this is from AWS. Okay, and the external stages, like we do have like a different objects underneath it. Okay, so this is going to be like a AWS S3 or Azure or GCP, something like that. Okay, so this is how like we used to process the information. Okay, so the control DB, right, is purely for the developers. So it is going to be like most of the project approach. Okay, and the best practices you need to use and all of those. Okay, all right, any questions on this course, guys? Please do let me know. Okay, and that's the end of session. So any questions? Vivek, Shankar, Dev, Dilip, Geeta, Hari, Mahesh, Pradeep, Prakash, Raj, Shiva, Tushar. Any questions before concluding this session? So any questions on the course or?
Ashok just wanted to know, like, we will cover this database basics also, like SCD or something?
Yes, Tushar. Yes, for sure. Yes. So you go to the course edX. Okay. So course edX and you find out. Okay. And Arun will be sharing the course content. Okay, so everything will be covered like as a practical approach. Okay, you don't need to worry about that. So if you have like any extra topics that needs to be covered, so that will be helpful for the group. You're welcome to share with me. Okay, so I need this topic. I will definitely help you out like so in explaining the topic.
Yeah. So Ashok, will you cover performance tuning of the database?
Yes.
And second thing is that migration of the existing database to Snowflake.
Mm-hmm.
So there are two ways we can do that. One is writing a script. We can move the data. For example, in my organization, we are planning to decommission the Netezza database and migrate to Snowflake. So uh, we can do in two ways. Either we can we can move the data directly one-to-one mapping and move data from Netezza to Snowflake. So such a different scenario you will cover for data migration, because this is a very common scenario nowadays. They want to just move the existing database into Snowflake.
Yes. Yeah, definitely it will be covered, Tushar. Okay. So okay, so this is all about like my experience. I will share you my experiences, like what I faced like during the migration process, and how I handle the situations, and it's going to be like a practical things. Okay, it's not about like so what you see in the book and just go in here and execute the commands. Okay. And
so total how many sessions, Ashok? Total how
easy
many
like
sessions?
okay, it depends on Dave. Okay, so like I completed almost like 10 to 15 batches. So um, some batches, right? Like okay, so they have like a freshers. Okay, I need to explain like it's kind of a spoon feeding for them. Okay, so if it's going to be a batch like who is like always already there in the industry, and if they want to explore things, okay, then like it's going to be very fast for me. Okay, if there is like a who is fresh graduate from the college or something, so it takes little longer than 25 hours of the course. That answers your question, Dave?
Thank you.
Yeah, like it will be more than like 25 hours for sure. So you need to explain like each and everything, right? Like so it is more than 25 hours. If you take like 8 hours, like it's going to be 3 full days a day.
Hello.